forces a jump with it this time, and they both stand shielding in the gun smoke, but eventually they both back off again. Pops him up with a bomb and finally gets an up air right there.
He was so dangerous, and if it connected, it was likely to stock. So many things can kill Trajan now at 167. They cannot afford another strong hit here. Staying up high, and they go for the downer on the platform, and Kiwi is there.
But not like that. As soon as it gets that PK fire into the grab, a little bit of scramble situation, knowing that the laser is going to come out.
Gets nared away instead. Arrow doesn't land. Neither of them get to the stage. They get back aired instead. All the way across they go. Bomb in hand. They get side beat as well. And the falling hitbox will lead to the up smash. The dangerous opportunity here. 86% again. Rolls in. This time he gets caught. Sweet spot back air. And that will do it out. Gyro on the opposite side of the stage. Dash attack catches the landing. But they will not find the stock quite yet. Forward air will knock Kiwi away once more. They recover high. And they will get caught by the up air. From the right side of center stage. High recovery here from Kiwi. They'll land it onto the hydrant. But they won't be able to connect it. And that's another aerial. And this one will do the trick. A nair instead. Gamer Dog surviving. And we talked about it before. You mentioned touch of death character if they find the opening. Another absorb, back to 0. Gyro is out and in play. Can he get it in his hands though? He wanted it at the last moment, but the won't be able to get the back throw off the mash out. Maybe let him get out instead. Damage being racked up. Linny recovering low here, and he cannot really challenge. Now grab back throw, and it's one stock apiece.
And we've seen now Tony.
Oh!
What?
It's Fizz Rain here on Tree that's defending it proper, and they might be able to make magic happen with 2K. Can they pull off a third? No. Braindead might be able to have a wonderful shot. Thrash doesn't see him. A Rolling Thunder is going to push everyone away from C main, but
It is a good evening because we are about to get into the ECAC Valorant Semifinals. That is right, one more step to go before the big old grands themselves. My name is Sam Tonks, joining me none other than the spectacular Zobi. What an evening we have ahead of us with our two amazing teams, Zobi.
Yes, a best of 5 full-length feature. You know, I did one yesterday for NECC, so why not jump over to the ECAC between Brewton-Parker and Farmingdale? So it definitely is, you know, Farmingdale. They have battled their way here, ups and downs, wins and losses, versus Brewton-Parker not dropping a single map in all of the regular season or playoffs, albeit there were some close calls, some OTs, but they still are the undisputed reigning champs.
Yeah, it's a good title to be able to hold on for yourself, and obviously one that looking forward into the future, especially with grand finals coming up, and with that even more so winning the grand finals, a bid into the CECC Texas LAN happening this May. So a lot going on there and a lot on your mind, and having that perfect record behind you, oof, Zobi, that's a boost in the morale.
It definitely is. And for me, what kind of shines from Brewton-Parker beyond that record is the fact that they did it while changing one of their star players and while pulling out some unconventional comps on some pretty set meta maps. But we'll get into that later. And before we jump into our map picks, I just want to remind everybody that on the other side of the bracket is Wichita versus Columbia College. So the winner of that will face off against the winner of this semifinals, like you said, for that grand finals, that bid to the CECC LAN in Texas. But Sam, I teased at it. What are our map picks for this best of 5 series?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said it was a best of 5 because this is going to be the ringer of a series. This is going to be a long evening, regardless if it's going to be a stomp out or not, which which I'm hoping it's not going to be, but
Fingers crossed.
it's a long evening. It's going to be an endurance run regardless, but our maps that we are going to be going on to is starting off on Ascent, into Split, then Icebox, and if we need to, Sunset and Bind at the end of this tale that is being spun. So these are, getting a whole best of 5 series, right, Zobi? You get an idea of what the map pool is going to be looking like. You're trying to, as a team, deciding whether or not you want to put your strong maps first, or if you want to go for what your opponents are weaker at, maybe save your best towards the end. There's a lot of different sort of mind games that you have versus a best of 3.
Definitely. And we actually were playing those kind of mind games before we started, kind of guessing what we thought these map picks were going to be. And in my mind, I think I got 1 or 2 of them wrong, but it was my second guess. So these teams did kind of fluctuate with their records and base their picks off of that. I mean, I feel like Farmingdale's in a good spot because Sunset and Bind being at the end, those are their weaker pools, ones they haven't played as much, that they have losses on, versus they stack those stronger maps like Split, like Ascent at the forefront. My concern, though, is that Ascent for Brewton-Parker is something not to be trifled with. They typically do not run, as we're starting to see in Asian Select, that standard meta composition. You're going to see that Viper from Tapping. You're going to see the Sky from Caps, which is interesting because both of these Asians have been nerfed and they still are sticking it out, sticking to their guns, sticking to what they are confident in. And I think that's the reason why Farmingdale chose it first. They're like, let's get the unknown out of the way and then get to the meta compositions on these later maps in the pool.
Yeah, but I'm digging this from Brewton-Parker. Anything that just changes up Ascent, right? It's always so much fun to watch. Oh, truth. Okay.
Okay.
You gave me hope there for just a little sliver of a second, but always have to go back to the tried and true Jet, which is something that I don't really blame them for. I mean, Raze as a duelist is phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but Ascent is Jet's map. This is a map where that agent fits so well into a lot of different scenarios and situations, whether it's executing on site, whether it's the person holding on to the operator, or wanting to be that initial aggressor towards the attacking team on defense. This is always something, though, that when you come into Ascent, Zobi, and when you see these different styles of compositions that we're getting out of Brewton-Parker versus the standard comp that we're seeing from Farmingdale, always makes you scratch your head and wonder what could go on.
And I want to shed some light on these compositions and these agent picks because it shows the development these teams have had. For example, Truth being that duelist, that's not the standard. It was typically Samos. So they're trying out something new, switching up those roles a little bit, but the same is true for Farmingdale. It used to be Pyro was the Jet maps, and we had Tanuki on the Raze maps, but Pyro has now taken up that Sentinel role, while Tanuki's taken up all of those duelist roles. But we're already in the first round, and it's just going to be a tried and true BXX, Sam.
If it broke, don't fix it. Tanuki's already going to be the one to close down the door. Needs to be ready for Samo! That flashbang couldn't have been done at a perfect time anymore. It would have just been impossible. It feels like Pyro's going to fire through the Viper wall that's been put up, rotate back over towards mid, hearing the footsteps starting to work up towards them, going to be eliminated, but at the end of the day, the spike is still planted.
The retake on the cards here. Have a nice multi-faceted execution here with that flank coming in from main. Paranoia in place to propel these teammates forward, but the counter is met from Farmingdale. Molly's a paranoia of their own, and at the end of it all is still Brewton-Parker managing the chaos, managing the retake, and coming away with that first round and that pistol.
That Caps 3K was kind of spicy, I'm not going to lie. And walk on the site like you own the place, and well, at the end of the day, they sure absolutely did. This is a very measured retake that we saw from Brewton-Parker. On top of that, they weren't all trying to just flood onto the site. They were very patient with the usage of their utility, and especially even more so when you're able to catch Pyro trying to rotate back and meet the group through their spawn. It really did set themselves up for a lot of success.
And now, I mean, they set themselves up for success in terms of the buy. It's typical you see, you know, your KJ maybe with a little bit lighter of a buy, so they can get that hero rifle of third round, depending on how substantial or successful that second round force is. But what's interesting here is the mobilization from Brewton-Parker. They're not sitting, they're not waiting for Farmingdale to come to them. They're actively seeking them out. They've pushed out Market, they've pushed out Catwalk here, and it's kind of now forced the hand of Farmingdale, forced that response, and it's going to be head on Farming Limp with the paranoia, and they are searching for more.
They're so hungry for it. Tanuki still trying to remind them of their presence. Ran out of ammo in the old reliable Spectre. Switching, tried to use the Ghost, but Samo has pushed all the way out of B main. Looking diligent. Sure not to be caught off guard. Truth has one of their own. Needs to look below them right there. Couple of shots ring out, but are they ready for it? Yes, they are. BPC, Brewton-Parker College. Continuing on that momentum now into their bonus round.
Yeah, Truth doing a good job there. It could have gotten dicey without clearing out Tanuki, but they keep their sights trained on that spike there in tiles on where Samo was trying to come through for that pinch play. And while it was a little bit dicey, like they said, not expecting that retaliation from Farmingdale into mid, they still walk away with a few of these heavier weapons, like that Bulldog, like that Guardian, that we're going to need to see deliver here. And knowing they don't have the best buy, we're going to see that aggression, that kind of catch them by surprise mentality, and let's see if it works for BPC.
It's making something happen here, at the very least. Oh, Lim! Oh, I saw it. The idea was immaculate, but unfortunately the execution just wasn't quite there. Caps another swing and another home run for Pyro with a third kill now. This pretty much leaves A-Site just free, open all over the place. They're continuing to press their luck on tiles. Samo's finally going to shut down this beast of a player. Spike still has been planted in a very injured BPC.
Yeah, so plant secured. Farmingdale assuming that post-plant protocol, but Samo's on the road to disrupt it if they're not careful. I mean, the Killjoy dying early means there's no indications, but Tanuki has the back of their teammate, has the back of Bip, so they will maintain this numbers advantage, placing for tapping in a 1v3 that they cannot clutch out. Akiru finishing things off, securing that first round for Farmingdale, and keeping a sense pretty much picturesque in terms of how you expect these rounds to push and pull.
And they're pretty stable coming out of the other end of it, right? They didn't suffer excruciating losses. It was only 2 players at the end of the day, and you're still able to walk forward with a lot of your firepower. And you have a Viper now who's going to be using the Odin here on the side of BPC. That, you know, filling in the role of the Sova, who's not here anymore. So you're just going to see this immediate either spray and pray or just hold on to it and wait and see what happens.
I mean, yeah, that's interesting, especially when you don't have that kind of a recon initiator that can get that substantial wall hack ability, like a Fade, like a Sova. I mean, yes, your Sky can concuss somebody, but you're not going to know where that reposition is coming through. So for now, it's Truth actually going to be able to find first blood, this time not pushing out to mid, but holding down that angle. They recover safely here past the toxic screen, past that alarm bot, so that no trade will come into Farmingdale's favor. We see the Trailblazers sent out as well, just to get some initial information about what the retaliation from Farmingdale could have been, what it could have looked like. And all it'll find is some members top site that now influence that rotation back to A main.
Look at how far Brewton-Parker wants to push out towards this A main approach. Even though I haven't heard anything in quite some time, they know someone's lurking around. They know someone's trying to overstay their welcome. That's going to be Pyro. But we are starting to feel the constraints of the timer starting to work against Farmingdale. And now less than 30 seconds left to go, and they need to decide where they want to end up at eventually.
Oh, this is brilliant.
There you have it.
Into the Odin.
The Odin didn't quite go as far as it was expecting. Still going to be able to readjust and go for the spray. Akiru, much better this time around, but you're right back into the Odin once more. 7 seconds. Someone needs to go and get the spike. He's all the way upstairs.
There's no time.
There's no time anymore. Farmingdale took so long to get anywhere, to attempt to do anything.
No, the Odin.
It cost them this round. they are still dealing some damage, but you'd rather have a round 1.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, they lose the Odin, but it's quickly bobbed back up. So tapping gonna be in full swing alongside the rest of the squad. But you do see some of those repercussions, right, in the form of the Guardians, in form of the light shields. But definitely is Farmingdale a little bit worse for wear with that Spectre mainly for Supa. So we'll have to see. I mean, this round feels like it's going to be make or break for both squads. Does Brewton-Parker extend their lead, as Farmingdale go limping away with an eco round to try and right a sinking ship? For now, with Limp getting that first blood and looking for more, it's only going to be a 1-for-1 trade. That's the green light on this A-site execution off of that lockdown.
I just need to make sure to punch through Samo, who's still hanging out here. A real big issue that we're going to start seeing is they gonna have to be pushed away by that. Thankfully, though, Omen Smokes are gonna push him back now with the ability to be able to plant the spike. Still being sprayed and prayed on the Odin. Doesn't find its target. Spike is still gonna be planted. Four tapping needs to go for the reload of the Odin, but truth has it, right on the flank, and they're still not letting go of that trigger. Brewton-Parker College going exactly the plan and how they want to execute these retakes. It's feeling immaculate right now.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. It felt like Bip was more just trying to be a bait to hope they didn't clear out the corner, clear out their teammate there, so they could have that hero moment for Farmingdale to get back on track, to rein in that control over the outcome of the round. And just the thoroughness from Brewton-Parker, like we said, these retakes look like a strong suit, look like a comfort even when a site control is lost. And yeah, Farmingdale forced into that full save, deals across the board here, and only really a null command to lean into if they want to try and go for a fast exec into a plant to at least have that little bit of money moving forward. I mean, it looks like it's been red kind of here. Limp again, being that aggressive, kind of first blood machine, looking for another frag, but now it's been countered. Farmingdale's adapted, Sam.
This is crazy, though, the way that Limp is using their smokes. And what's even crazier is four tapping and how far forward they pushed out of their own Viper's pit to eliminate someone in mid. They're not going to overtake anything here just yet. Four tapping, patiently waiting and seeing if someone's going to walk or traipse through mid. They did see the sky on the flip side. They did see and someone else is there, and so that this player isn't alone. Akiru is being ever so diligent, making sure that they don't get caught out. But Brewton-Parker College are not going to waste any time. Look at where they are already.
Ooh.
Brilliant headshot from Tanuki, but it's immediately traded out by Truth. Finding refuge once more inside of Tree. Now Farmingdale is a chicken without a head, trying to decide where they eventually want to go. Hey, a Super 8 headshot right there is clean, but always these trades are devastating.
I mean, they really wanted that trophy, those weapons like the Odin from their kill on a trapping. And now, I mean, they assume it's an empty B site, but not only has Caps been anchoring here, but from the shadows means that it's a stronghold for Brewton-Parker. And with Deagle leading the way, your blades tucked away, again, it's a similar issue where Farmingdale is up against the clock. They don't know how many players are there, Boathouse. They only knew about the one, and Caps, who's been concealed, will finish it off, deny the eco, and it's a teammate as the cherry on top.
It's crazy the locations that Caps ends up at, right? They pushed through at mid with four tapping, and then they fell back into Boathouse with Limp. And the first time around, didn't find much impact. Four tappings, Odin was the one to do that there, but Caps playing around with their team and not really ever leaving them alone necessarily. Does so much here for map control that Brewton-Parker College is continuing to abuse over and over again that Farmingdale just has not found the answer to.
And so for now, Farmingdale gets back to business, back to a buy, and back to the B site. Fueled by what should have been the null command, but Odin has zero respect for that when it's behind a Viper and not a recon initiator. Not only that, but Samo never left the site. Truth has rotated over to support as well, and it's a complete shutdown before they even make it out of B main, Sam.
And Tanuki has nowhere to go. Descended on all fronts. Brewton-Parker College is coming in here with a mission right now, Zobi. That mission is win. Their first half already secured. We're looking at 6 rounds already. Farmingdale only being able to take off the 1. That was during Brewton-Parker College's bonus.
Mm-hmm. And a reminder in my mind that Farmingdale knew what they were getting into when they picked this map. Yes, it was a strong suit for them in the past, minus some close calls of maps, but they knew Brewton-Parker had this unconventional composition and that they might not know how to challenge into it. So it feels like they just wanted to get this map out of the way, and that's why it was their map pick. It wasn't necessarily them picking their strongest map, like Split, as that starter. It was more just, let's get it out of the way, get to our stronger maps.
Well, yeah, this timeout, though, is going to have to be important for Farmingdale. Something in the ship has to be righted here. Whatever execution... the way that they execute onto site, right, especially from that first pistol round that we saw, was something to behold, right? It was fast, it was decisive, and it was pretty clean, all things considered. It was just the retake that they failed on. But now they are wandering all over the map, trying to decide what to do, and in a lot of these situations, it takes so much time for that decision to be made that the round is already over.
Yeah. So they're looking to speed things up here a little bit. Maybe challenge the mid control that we know Brewton-Parker likes to fight for. Unfortunately, those better weapons aren't going to get the job done for you. You throw numbers into the mix, and they are just going to be stripped away by Truth, by Caps, and they are not done searching one after another. They walk to their death, and they just respect it. Pyro, the last standing, and yeah, the last to fall. That's a 7th. A guaranteed lead off of that flawless for Brewton-Parker before the sides swap. But here's some copium, Sam. Is that a sense of defense sided map, right?
That's definitely copium, right? Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I think I remember hearing a crazy statistic that 45% of attack rounds are won on Ascent. Something crazy like that. I don't know. Some crazy guy whispered that in my ear or something one day. This is a team now from Brewton-Parker that are over brimming with confidence. You see that in the way that they controlled the middle of the map. They identified where their targets were and then just proceeded to win every single gunfight, especially when you look at how Truth has been playing. Oh, Pip, what are you in for, my friend? You've been found out. The dog's gonna go in. Truth is always hungry, and this tree side execute, it's definitely a limp now. It doesn't matter where Farmingdale tries to go. It costs them everything just to even look at the site.
I mean, I'm just stunned at how self-sufficient every single member of this team, of the Brewton-Parker squad, is, right? I mean, usually what Limp is doing in terms of searching for those first bloods towards A main is done by a KO, a Jet in conjunction by 2 players. But Limp holding that down by themselves, I mean, Truth can go exploring towards mid. Limp can pivot between main and tree effectively, like we just saw. And then even the rotations from tapping were exquisite from mid to that tree position to just be that final nail in the coffin. And like I said, I mean, if one person works, why not add that second? Why not add Caps, who also has a taste of blood and once more?
Oh no, look at where the spike is now too. And then they put up the wall for extra added effect. They're gonna have to push into it regardless, one way or the other. And Brewton-Parker knows this. Farmingdale has no choice now. They're Omen far too aggressive. Now the rest of the team has to try and pick up the pieces right here. But the pieces just continue to be shattered. Limp is the one. They are the hammer. Pyro, you just have an Odin. You're blinded out by a brilliant paranoia. And we're looking at a flawless 9th round 1 from Brewton-Parker.
Insanely coordinated there. And, I mean, they've had these ults for a while, and they just have not had to use them. That's what's even more impressive about a Brewton-Parker. It's just sheer trades, sheer confidence in the swings, the fights that they are taking. And now Farmingdale, again, they recognize they need to get these rounds on the board, so they don't want to go for a full save. They're kind of investing what they can into this round. It's going to be buy now, save next, buy for that last round, that last grand stand. Tanuki, some creativity off of that Sova utility with a Judge. He's going to try and grab a frag, but again, somebody's there to have the players of Brewton-Parker's back, Sam.
What a brutal headshot from Caps. They finally walk inside, and I think this is the first pickoff that we've seen from Farmingdale in quite some time. Now you're trying to deal some damage. Truth is so hungry, far too greedy. But again, it's always, you gotta be looking in 20 different directions against Brewton-Parker. This team is in firm control of their destinies, and they are not letting it go.
Yeah, 10-1, double digits already reached before the half even swaps. And what stands out to me more is, number one, the members of Brewton-Parker are all even in KDAs minus Samo, but I think they just have Killjoy syndrome, which is that they're not going to their site. They're all dead before Samo can even get a chance here, which is why I think Samo is now picking up the Judge and is trying to push. They're like, guys, I need some frags. I'm not going to beat the carrying allegations. And unfortunately, the default here from Farmingdale, that slow approach might not give them what they're looking for. But, all right, Bip. Get first blood for Farmingdale for the first time in what seems like forever.
Oh, Samo.
You're gonna... They're not gonna get their chance again, Sam.
No, they're not. They even have this ultimate. They've had this lockdown. They're like, don't worry, I can use it. Wink. Vip walked into Limp once more. And they're gonna stay safe from the recon dart. This has to be the idea. Thank goodness that they realize Limp doesn't see anything, Zobi. They are blind as a bat, but still get a double kill. Undeniable, the presence that this player has. And you put 4 tapping back over here with the Odin, but now we're looking at the best
they get their chance.
possible chance here for Samo as a fellow Sam namer. It's not going to be done with a Judge, Zobi. They do have to win out in a 1v2, and so now this is the best chance that they have to beat the I am carried allegations.
I put them on this pedestal, and I mean, their teammates, like you said, did a good job getting this chip damage off. Concern arises that Farmingdale is playing divided, but it's the last round of the half. Yeah, invest that lockdown where you can. The challenge, the timing not aligning. Akiru with the wrap and the round to end out this half to keep, you know, some hope alive here for Farmingdale. But in my mind, it's going to have to start with this pistol here. And now, if not, you know, Brewton-Parker gets that 2-round economic flow pattern, and they are sitting on map point.
Now, right, a 10-2 is not 11-1. It's not 12-0, so it's not impossible, Zobi. But the chances are very, very slim here. I think if we're going to be realistic for Farmingdale, Brewton-Parker is also something that I'm going to be very scared of when they're operating as a full unit, as a full force team. You're going to see the early initial paranoia come out from Limp. It's going to push. Ooh, or not. They're waiting. They're being very patient. The wall comes up, brings them to space. They're going to go out with a flashbang. Have to hold on for a second here. Super 8 is trying to punch back as best as they can. They did some damage. They took down 2. Regardless, at the end of the day, there is a spike on this B site. Now we get to see if the Farmingdale retake is like the Parker retake.
Yeah, no split like we saw from the pistol out of Brewton-Parker. All 3 trying to funnel in here through CT. Truth, not having the full HP here means they cannot be that charging towards that tip of the spear. Paranoia doesn't land either. So a lot of frags going in Farmingdale's favor. So much so that Truth left in the 1v2. They're going to go for this split attempt. You know, you had too many targets to shoot. Somebody has to be good for the trade, you would think. But Truth has their own truth to live, and that is going to be this deagle shot that might align on to Bip. Time not in the favor of Bip has to get halved, and when they try to stick it all the way, in this case, Truth's good for the 3K, good for that 11th for Brewton-Parker.
And did it all with 20 HP. That is a decisive blow from this team. And even more decisive is Farmingdale having to force up these weapons. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about this, Zobi. They have to try and make something work in this second round of the second half. Otherwise, it's done.
Mm-hmm. I think forcing is the right decision here. If not, you just kind of give up this map, give up that map point, because 10 rounds in a row for OT, even for one of the best teams in the world, you're going to slip up, you're going to have mistakes or star players. Speaking of star players, Akiru, you moved too soon. You would have had 3 Pembers eating out of your hand, and as a result, even if they're paranoid, they're still going to hit those shots. When Truth as a hero rifle, a Vandal with your name on it, and it just lands the solder again a bit, just throwing themselves into the fray, hoping something sticks, but it does. Oh, that's bullying.
Pyro ran into it with the judge. Samo had that idea in the previous half. Unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to actually use it. So now you're left alone in a 1v2 with whatever meager firepower that you have left. The scary part about this entire thing is that Truth is still alive, a Vandal. They're ever so excitedly lurking up on your flank, ready to destroy and devastate. Inching their way towards the stairway, doesn't matter. Samo has eyes on through main, and that is a Brewton-Parker College match point.
I mean, you said it when the half started, when that pistol was lost, that you didn't see much hope for Farmingdale to pull out this map. So if they can't win the map, they can't get the point on the board, they need to take lessons away from it. And at this point, in my eyes, there are solo players that stand alone strong, like Akiru, like Pyro in situations like we just saw with that judge, but the rest of the members, we need more coordination. You can't just throw yourself into the mix after the fact, hoping that you can get a trade. You need to have more coordination in the initial swings so that that continuously set up. Or you need to play safer duels, safer fights like BIP just has. With a Marshal, long range, you find your first blood, you get out unscathed, which is huge in rounds like these.
My ult's ready.
Foot in the door for Farmingdale. No matter how small it is! Oh my goodness. Limping away with 10 HP. And then Pyro's gonna do it again with the judge once more. Super 8 sending out the Owl Drone. Sees 2. Lurking and walking up. Scardian's gonna have to go fast. It's gonna have to hit and strike true. Pyro's judge is putting in the overtime right now. It's also putting in the damage to go along with it. But Akiru breaks down the doors inside of Market, and the final 3 remaining players have to go up against Brewton-Parker. Limp is trying to regroup with the team, and Samo is being ever so cautious about actually planting the spike, making sure that they're not going to be taken by surprise or fooled in any way, shape, or form. Limp throws out a couple of bullets of their own. It's just one shot needed to get rid of Tanuki. Out comes the Paranoia inside of Market. That allows them to TP over to the other side. Sees their mirror in log, and now 1 more to go for the match victory. They tried their best, even while blinded. Pip is giving us a beautiful showing with that Marshal, but it doesn't matter how beautiful it is if Limp is there. Brewton-Parker College, Ascent is theirs, and a horrifying 13-2.
I mean, a flawless second half. We didn't get to see much out of Farmingdale, like we said, natural flow of the economy. And even in that 3rd round kind of closeout, it really did just come down to they always had a trade. And then obviously while they were down numbers, the jet was really, really low for Farmingdale. And you have a hero player, a standalone player like Limp, who can get jobs like those done thanks to that aggressive Omen kit. You know, you pivot after grabbing 1 and you're leaving Farmingdale fumbling. But this is a best of 5. So it's not the end of the road, albeit it's not a great start since that was Farmingdale's map pick. But I'll hold on to the Farmingdale Copium, which is that they picked that knowing it was going to be a rough patch since Brewton-Parker brings out these untraditional comps, Sam.
But I think that's also even scarier, though, is that they were able to win out on Ascent with that untraditional composition of a Viper, a Sky, right? These are the things that you don't typically get to see very often. When you have those variations on Ascent, it leaves you, once again, scratching your head. What can be done? Well, apparently, from Brewton-Parker, a lot can be done. And a 13-2 is a very convincing argument that sometimes maybe the experimentation phase is a lot of fun. I mean, you even see it in the VCTs, right? Leviathan versus C9. That was a fantastic matchup, but Leviathan was experimenting with some different flavors of Ascent as well. And so players are starting, and I think teams as well are starting to get a little bit tired of the standard composition. And sometimes when you throw that wrench into the plans, it really does just upset the timings. It upsets the whole flow of how you think Ascent is supposed to go. But now we head into Split. And again, Split is also one of those maps that you do see some of those different compositions versus what you could potentially be getting out of, especially if you're starting off on the defense
Well, speaking of starting out on the defense, I'll show that Farmingdale is the one starting out on the defense. But what sticks out to me is the fact that number one, Brewton-Parker picked this map knowing it is undeniably, I would say, the best map for Farmingdale. I mean, they're 5-1 on this map. It's their most played, their most trialed, like you said, to get that composition pinned down. Uh, and the other side is that they're not going to be pulling out that that untraditional composition that might have been where the difficulties for Farmingdale lied. It is hard to counter a toxic screen out ascent if you're not used to it. Same with the Sky and getting concussed out of left field when there is that aggression alongside a Paranoia, alongside an Omen. So for Split, where they run that Breach Sky, it might be the traditional approach that Farmingdale can counter. And I will also say I'm an Astra simp, and we might see the Super Astra. We might.
I do remember a specific LAN event that we were at that you believed strongly in the power of Astra.
I love Astra.
And
I'm just devastated that they aren't picked enough on Sunset. That's my map where I think that they can do work.
They can have the most impact. No, I can definitely understand that. And now that we've entered into a world where we have Clove in it, now there's even more opportunities for different agents going on here. But Brewton-Parker is already giving us a
what I expected.
pretty nice look. Yeah, this isn't anything too out of the ordinary for what I would say you would get out of Split. Farmingdale on the flip side, also going.
Oh, they changed it. No. You've lost my favor, Farmingdale. You got rid of the Astra. How could you?
Zobi in shambles.
I mean, I am, because number one, interestingly enough, they would typically run a double duelist. They would run, Tanuki on the Raze and Pyro on the Jet. But with them switching over to the Cypher, I think that's the reason why we now have them pulling out that Viper instead of that solo Astra, that solo controller. So it'll be interesting to see if they've settled into these new roles in time, because it is definitely a different dynamic when it's a solo duelist versus a secondary duelist, because you can't be as a dive-in heavy, because then without a duelist, it's harder to rotate. It's harder to kind of shove your way back into a second site. Versus on the side of Brewton-Parker with the composition they're running, yes, it's that solo duelist, but if they fall, you have that double initiator, that extra punch of a breach of a fault line that can help out the rest of your teammates achieve that similar prospect of claiming frags on a site.
Map number 2 now. We are on Split. An accurate word of dominance from Brewton-Parker out of Ascent. Truth is going to take a smidge of damage from their own pain shells, but who really cares? Ooh, Cavs, there was just enough of a gap inside of that cage. Camera's catching them all in 4K. Pyro sees their targets, tries to go for another. They're not far more than they could chew. But they did walk away with a 1. Numbers are even once more. Pip! Again, getting some of these eliminations when they're catching them unawares. They're looking like a much more confident Farmingdale this go around. Confidence may be wavering. Parker is getting some picks of their own.
Last player standing.
I mean, a triumphant sight tick, crumbling a little bit Supa, though now getting overwhelmed by that cacophony of utility I've spoken about for this squad, but sometimes classic RNG is all you need with 3 bullets left. They might be running out of it. Now, both Omens toe for toe in terms of HP, but the timing and the better weaponry there for Limp, and again, that solo hero player with the 3K on the pistol will keep Brewton-Parker where they're used to being, on top.
And they're not being shaken off their throne anytime soon.
Nope.
Another pistol round for them, another pistol round. It sometimes paid in blood. This one definitely was. But you do limp across the finish line, and that's really all that matters. And for Limp, the controller of the hour, it feels like. A insane performance that we got out of them on Ascent. And not letting that be any different here on Split. Akiru, the lone wanderer in mid. That is going to hurt in the morning. But for Brewton-Parker, big smiles across the face. You gotten rid of the Sky. That's one less thing to worry about. Ooh.
And that's a trade, though, from Supa. A little bit of an overextension and overconfident lurk from Tapping. not clearing all their corners, checking all their boxes, but who is going to check their boxes? A wall bang, shoot down from Limp through B-side heaven, and they're not done! They're still chipping damage off of the Farmingdale players before they can even collect themselves for a retake attempt. They're going to collect that weapon from tapping, but in the meantime, all that has put Truth in the perfect position to spray down a 4K of their own.
And honestly, even losing out on 4-tapping going up towards heaven wasn't the worst thing in the world, right? It's your Cypher, you send them lurking. The rest of Brewton-Parker College drew the attention that 4-tapping had away from heaven, just allowed them to push on to Cypher basically free. And then you're realizing once again that the weapons that they're working with, it all just wasn't going to be good enough for Farmingdale to stop them in any way, shape, or form. But now they get weapons, they get rifles. One of the only rounds that they won in the previous map, Zobi, was that bonus round of Brewton-Parker.
Now, I mean, Brewton-Parker, they're just fueling the ego at this point. I mean, yes, it's an eco round, a save bonus conversion, but Truth, again, leading the charge here. Bip's going to punish that, but some chip damage is always a win. Gives the remaining members a chance to start converting to double down. To this point, that mid-aggression stalled out and numbers strengthening the hold here, mainly Supa in vents. How does that shot hit?
Limp is just built different, Zobi, okay? Limp is so scary. Another flashbang goes in. Supa 8 can't even see the encroaching death, and it's descending upon them. A new weapon to go along with that pickoff, and Tanuki has to wait for the oncoming tidal wave of doom heading their way. Akiru, left alone on site, was left alone on site. Not anymore. It is clear, it is concise, and it just feels like another day at the office for Brewton-Parker.
I mean, about to convert their bonus when first bloods and defensive holds were favoring Farmingdale. And now, Pyro, you were placed on a pedestal by our producer. Let's see if you can deliver a 1v3. Not the best weapon recollected, but the one that was collected for tapping that Phantom gets the job done. Keeps Brewton-Parker in that flawless position as they chug along here on Split. Their own map pick, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Sam, like I said, this is probably Farmingdale's best map. So this one's gonna hurt more than Ascent as a loss.
Yeah, it's just like the insult to injury, right? We 13-2'd on Ascent, and now we're gonna do it here on... We're gonna try and do even better here on Split, is what it's feeling like. Brewton-Parker, it's like they ripped out the brakes of whatever vehicle they're driving and just put a brick on the gas pedal. It's full speed ahead for this team, but it's still a measured pace and a measured tempo. It's not like they're rushing. It's not like they aren't being diligent in their usage of utility. No, it's just patience. And it's moments like these two where 4-tapping is the pick off there. Wasn't quite ready for Bip on the second approach, though we do see an elimination there, but you're seeing some of that damage being done. The numbers advantage still favoring Brewton-Parker, and it just continues to further increase and increase. And now with the spike down, and all players from Farmingdale down, Brewton-Parker has their fourth round won.
I mean, at this point, you know, you try and identify, like, mistakes that are being made from Farmingdale's perspective, since they are down 4-0, but, I mean, their positions are fine. They even have now players that, in positions in duos to get trades, and Brewton-Parker's just disrespecting that. I mean, last round, right? They were like, all right, let's just throw ourselves into mid again and see what happens. And while the round prior, you know, we did see Bib with the first blood, and they hold it down for the first kind of wave. That round, that didn't happen. And now, Brewton-Parker has ultimates online to continue this escapade. I mean, they understand it's going to be a bye here for Farmingdale, which is why that Rolling Thunder gets invested. Unfortunately, neither player is hit by it, so they're in fighting spirits. And it will be a one-for-one trade to get things started. Supa looking for more, but that flashpoint lands flawlessly. And it's going to be a numbers advantage for Brewton-Parker on this retake.
And it's going to be so difficult. Look at who's lurking, who's going uncontested in this as well. This Cypher has a perfect opportunity to be the death blow to Farmingdale. Just wait for the call here. Whip out the knife. Go into heaven. There's one. The second one on the board for 4 tapping. Lurk accomplished. Devastation ensuing. Brewton-Parker College flawlessly running through this map, not having dropped a single round so far.
Yeah, 5-0. They're looking to one-up their Ascent performance. With this round, no substantial ultimates to work with. Maybe a Viper's Pit or a retake ultimate of the Seekers for Akiru. But the gun's not to back it up. And I'm expecting to see a rocket off the rip from Truth here on this A-side entry. So I hope you're prepared, Bip.
Someone's gonna have to be prepared. Explosive entry from Truth. Quick showstopper. They're not gonna be stopped by that wire, not anytime soon. Hey, double kill though from Bip. But whatever they were hoping for may have just been ripped away. Some of these lighter weapons though, doing the job. A Bucky, a Stinger, and a Sheriff. How much more can you go when Limp, the Omen God, is still alive? Looking like it's actually pretty good so far. Caps is gonna be the one to take initiative, get into the back line, and eliminate one there. Quick shot comes out to Nuki and Super 8, both sheriffs in hands. See who's gonna be the quicker draw in the west. Caps waiting for someone to make their own swing. Not too worried about the Omen. May have TP behind them, but look at how quick they are going all over the map. Tanuki over at screens, playing it perfectly. Super 8 had the read. And for Farmingdale, has their first round.
Now that was some clean coordination between the two. I mean, confusion of a paranoia, a shrouded step, that then the fancy movement of a double satchel from Tanuki can get the job done. I mean, they don't walk away with the crowd, but they walk away with what is important, the round. And at the end of the day, that is all you can ask for Farmingdale, because not only does it now give the confidence, the blood pumping, but it gets the economy righted. I mean, so much so that Pyro feels like they can afford an Odin.
All right. A little bit faster this time around from Brewton-Parker. Look at how quick they are. Ooh. Truth is just barely hanging on. 10 HP left. The Odin so very close to getting rid of this nuisance that it has been a raise. Instead of wasting time for the spike to go down, Brewton-Parker is going to put it there. And Pyro's not going to get any more usage out of that Odin. Look at the fence! Limp misses all the shots, but they aren't going to miss that one. Ready for another swing. Tanuki had the lockdown on that. An Omen gone. The smoke's along with it. The team is going to try and fight back. Tanuki picks up a second one before Death claims them once more. A 3v1, Super 8. They did it last round, winning it out for their team and giving Farmingdale their first round one. But it just proved to be a little bit too much this time around. Brewton-Parker College, a small misstep from the previous round. One that was quickly rectified.
Yeah, I mean, they recognized that they were taking a little bit of forward presence that was unneeded. They were taking fights they didn't really need to be gambling on, you know? And what do? Instead, they all hold down the site, they stay, and they let one player go exploring, that player being Limp, who, when you're 11-4, of course you're allowed to. And they still walk away with their one in the round. So that's all you can ask for from a squad. So now, I mean, the fact that they have the Rolling Thunder already back online, one of the most important or expensive ultimates in the game, and the fact that Truth has already drawn first blood, overwhelming Tanuki, that duelist, it's just chaos, and that Stinger, I think, it just proves it further.
I've got your trail.
A judge loses out in these close quarter engagements. Samo just had the headshot perfectly lined up enough. Pyro stuck so deep into the site. Whatever fight they need to take on has to be one that wins for them here. Super 8 at least had the wherewithal to look behind them. Anything more than that is just all falling apart. Pyro is doing it though. They're giving us whatever left they have in the tank. And Samo has 22 HP. Limping away with whatever they had from heaven. But it didn't matter even if they had full HP. Akiru lands the headshot. And lands Farmingdale another round one.
Yeah. Second round on the board, some ultimates to work with, and again, at this point, it's going to be a mental game. And They have so many good ultimates to work with now. Tanuki with that showstopper, a good counter, especially if you can find caps on the receiving end of it to ensure they can't get a sight take off of that Rolling Thunder. Akiro as well, if they get an opening first blood, if they get a trade or two, the Seekers could come out to confirm late round rotations. At this point, I mean, we've seen this mid take before, we've seen this overwhelming use of utility, and it's all a ruse at this point. They're gonna hopefully draw numbers towards Heaven while they explode out of B main. I mean, the Trailblazer, the Viper all seasoned there. And because of this backwards pressure from Supa, you had no information that they had crept onto site. What was that call?
Limp is just doing it all again.
Spike planted.
Is Omen feeling almost like a duelist. And then the Aftershock is going to go through. Once that ticks away, Truth is going to walk in,
Enemy remaining.
destroying and eliminating all who dares enter into their sight. Clean up the last one. Brewton-Parker College, 7th round done.
I said it in the pre-show as a joke, Sam. I was like, you haven't lost any maps up till now, why start now? And that feels like the mentality that Brewton-Parker is taking to heart here. Yes, they might give up these rounds here and then, like I said, when their excitement gets ahead of them, but they reel it back in the following round, they keep things clean, and they keep that substantial lead. Right, they've established that they're going to have an advantage before the side swap here again, and they still have the prospect of double digits, another 10-2 in the cards. I mean, especially when there's a showstopper Rolling Thunder being thrown at the ace site, you have to respect that if you are Farmingdale, and now we'll get to see those retake ultimates like the showstopper, like potential neural theft influence the Farmingdale strategy.
Oh, Limp.
Oh, that's a shorty. That's a shorty.
So much being shot at, but Limp is not gonna go down without a fight, and they're still alive. Beautiful flashbang from Samo, just couldn't quite clinch that last kill, and a neural theft. Tanuki's been found out.
Standing.
A little bit of shots here and there, but now it's a 1v1. Best chance that Farmingdale has to win this. The last tick is gonna go off. Limp knows exactly where they are. A paint shell. There's not even a blip
Hear the
on their
footsteps.
radar. They're so focused on Tanuki. Blast and Satchel Pack in. The second they go for the ping of the spike, it has been planted for Heaven. Out comes the Paranoia down on the ground.
What?
But they didn't quite land the Paranoia. But they've
on
run
them.
out of time. It does not matter.
What? And they still walk away with the round. That's gotta be painstaking for Tanuki. I mean, they've had a rough start to the map. They finally got their time in the sunshine, and they walk away with the frag, but then not the clutch. And Limp, you almost threw that, my dude, for the style points, and you still get that victory. So I would love to hear the voice comms right now, because they have to be laughing about how that round still went in their favor. But let's talk about Farmingdale and the fact that they have all of these ultimates they could have thrown into that retake attempt, and they're still sitting on all of them. Versus, right, we've seen a consistent investment from Brewton-Parker. You see it, Showstopper, Rolling Thunder in conjunction, and even the Neural Theft in the late stages of the round just to lock it in for sure.
That's also kind of the difference, right? The way that Brewton-Parker uses their ultimates is just like, all right, we have them. Let's go ahead and pop them off here. Oh, seen by the dog. Truth walks out of there and catches Super 8. Totally looking in a different direction. That's massive value. And now finally we're starting to see some of that ultimate being used, being expended. Limp flashed out, couldn't see anything, tried to fight back. Is Akira ready for the third attacker that was on this site? They know that the spike is here. They know that Samo is. No, quite clearly and concisely, no they don't. Quick flick back over, gets rid of Truth. Now Samo has to go and actually plant the spike. Quick ping of it, maybe to draw someone out from Heaven. Down goes the snake bite. They haven't planted it yet. And good diligence and patience from them to not do that, but the camera has found them.
Pyro.
Gonna try and whip out the dart, but it's all for naught. Farmingdale showing a lot more fight, at the very least here, on Split than whatever we got out of them on Ascent.
Yeah, I mean, it ended 13-2, so you're right there, Sam. And I feel like an 8-4 with this kind of composition is going to be interesting to see, because I feel like that double controller and the Sentinel feels very defense-sided, but Tanuki is just warming up, it feels like, this half, right? So I feel like next half, they definitely will be winning a lot more of these one-on-one duels, these entry fights, and that's something that Brewton-Parker may not be prepared for. For now, though, half's not over yet. Job's not done. There's one more round that you can get in your favor if you are at Farmingdale. And I mean, I've been liking these responses where they have this heavy mid pressure because they know that's exactly what Brewton-Parker likes to take advantage of. The question then again lies with Tanuki. Will they win that gunfight if they come be heaven? Or on the flip side, will BIP win that fight if they come vents? Oh, timing. There you go.
It's beautiful. They're gonna find refuge inside of Vent itself. And Samo is keeping a very strong eye on this in case this pesky Viper does decide to go for seconds. But now with attention being drawn away from it, a good opportunity to try and go back in there once more. Super 8 walks out. Only once more to get 4 tapped there. Into the shadows. Has to step out of it again. Now on the flank, Kiru looking in 20 different directions, it feels like almost. But these shots landing quite where they need to until just now. BIP, the lurker. BIP, the silent player. Quick snake bite goes down. Do they know where this breach is? Right below them. And not wanting to play with fire. And I can't blame them here at this point. The spike is going to be planted eventually. Instead of wanting to have this heaven approach, no, instead, over towards CT. Caps is so forward thinking and how they use some of these fault lines. It stalls things out for a moment. And having to make sure to keep an eye on all of the possible locations that BIP could be coming from.
It's not planning for main. So they have to stay within striking distance here, thinking they got the correct timing. And while they do, BIP is prepared. And with that HP advantage, that's going to be a 4th round going in favor of Farmingdale. A respectable half considering how things started. And it gives them a striking chance here in the second half if, like I mentioned, these members that have been warming up can truly come alive to counter these hero players, this confidence that Brewton-Parker has been bringing into this semi-finals. This will be their first pistol of the series if they're able to secure it, Sam.
And they need to. They need to give themselves some form of leverage against Brewton-Parker. And winning these first 2 rounds of the second half would be everything to this team.
Caution here.
But this time around, though, like I said, we have that fight back. We have that desire, that hope in their eyes to actually strike back. Let's see how far forward they can take this. A quick guiding light's gonna notice someone's here. Paint shell out there. Nice paranoia, blinds out Truth. Wanted to go for that ultimate orb. They did end up getting it. A smattering of damage does come back around. Team is gonna fall all over the place. Farmingdale got their 1. Now they are done. Cage up in heaven. Not gonna see Limp, who rotated around just perfectly to catch the timing off on Pyro.
Yeah, that felt like a false calm. Pyro says, I have all this control, come back B, but site has not been cleared, and that control is regained by Brewton-Parker, so Farmingdale, yes, you still have time, a minute on the clock. You've given up all that space you had gained with an initial frag from Tanuki, and yeah, 4tapping says that it is not free real estate here. Be having this go around. They steal that frag away and are starting to now kind of herd the members of Farmingdale over towards this A site where, I mean, you have Caps and Screams the Deagle. You have backside Caps lurking as well, unbeknownst. So I think it's going to come down to the timing here and the crunch. I mean, there's 30 seconds left. I feel like we've seen this before on Ascent. Yeah, look at that!
It just takes Farmingdale so long to get to the side. I mean, 30 seconds almost remaining there. It was definitely something that was at the back of my mind at the beginning of this round, and it just kept slowly creeping forward over and over. And they had this massive rotation, Zoe, that just ended back at A.
Like I said, they had huge confidence in the space that Pyro had gained, and it was gone in an instant just because of Limp. And their awareness of where the gaps in their defense lie and how they can regain control over it. So again, flawless pistols, 4 for 4 now for Brewton-Parker. Buy on their side to get this double digits secured. Truth, one of those members that didn't get a better weapon, can go on that offensive, can be the tip of that spear, and even play off the strap wire, but they don't need it! Tapping, again, there's always someone to have a teammate of Brewton-Parker's back, and so far, no players have followed. This dynamic duo is gonna get the job done. Tapping's on par for an ace.
He already has the
why
ultimate!
not throw the neural theft into it?
They are going to secure that ace. My
better.
goodness
Don't you do this,
gracious.
Limp.
Bimp is going to do it instead of their own spawn. They've been paranoid. Full shield, full ammo. But the snake, by the vulnerability, somehow manages to walk away with 2, denies the ace, but does not deny a round 1 for Brewton-Parker College.
Oh, Tapping's not gonna let Limp live that down. A self-paranoia on a Tapping, preventing them from getting that ace, albeit they also did challenge into a snake bite, and some right-click RNG from Bip means that ace is denied, but regardless, that's still gonna be a huge mentality shutdown for Farmingdale in my mind. I mean, we saw it on Ascent, they couldn't win a single round once the side swapped, albeit 10-2, not a lot to lose there. But we're feeling like it's going to be a similar trend. This is the round that they can upset that. They have rifles. It's a bonus for Brewton-Parker. They've been good about converting these off rounds, and maybe this is the exception, Sam.
That was a good dodge of the fault line to go along with it. For Tapping. I don't think they were seen by the dog either. The tripwire is going to hold him back for a second. And instead of actually being patient, oh, Tanuki looked away at the wrong time, wrong place. This is their territory, and you had better be looking behind you at all times.
Oh.
Just hold on to this backside,
Not over
Samo. It's all just kinds of chaos. I can't believe 4Tapping wants to do this even more. And they get away with it. Jump out with a judge. And win a bonus round on top of that.
Even when Brewton-Parker gives away the first blood, give that false sense of security, it's those players that don't have the biggest weapons to give over, that they don't have that pivotal position in the defensive strategy for Brewton-Parker. I mean, you saw it there. Caps falls extending with only a deagle so that they can now buy an operator, because why not? And then the players on site are ready to replace them, and you even have a flank from Tapping. Just the confidence in these rotations and these pinch plays, and it's now seeded them 1 round away from a second map point.
Unsurprising, it feels like the ringing of the operator has been heard. 4Tapping challenged and devastated, but this operator, ooh, Cavs goes for another. Just feeding and eating good tonight. And even with a snake bite, they're going to let it course through their veins because there's something even more powerful coursing through their veins. A match point.
Match point.
They're map pick for a reason, that's for sure. And again, it's going to be a question of can Farmingdale weed their way out of this whole 8 rounds in a row to send themselves to OT. And even if they can't get out of this map loss, they have to get out of that mental trench, that prison that'll be forming, that doubt. And at this point, the bye is not the best, but this could be your last round, so might as well give it your all. And look at Brewton-Parker. We're gonna play a full retake on B. Why not? Save that utility so we don't have to spare it. Clear out all of A main so you know there's no lurking pyro. And tell the truth.
4Tapping
Okay.
was like, ah, heck, I gotta come all the way back over here. Truth is fallen. Samo has the trade-off.
Okay.
Farmingdale, they got the moves. They got the fight. They even got an ultimate off as well. But even knowing with where Camps is, that operator feels unstoppable. Limp has been seen by the camera, being detected over and over again, but they don't really care too much about that. They want to take the fight and they want to win that duel. They're not going to win out in the 2v1. Not if it's a pinch maneuver. Camps trying to decide where they want to look. They hear the satchel pack blasting onto the actual site itself. They've moved over just a little bit. Once that wall comes down, they need to be ready for it. They're going to jump down, masking their presence with the fault line. But too many different decisions running through their head. Couldn't settle on just the one. It's giving Farmingdale, Zobi, the first round of a defensive half for them.
Yeah, I mean...
Or attacking half, rather. Sorry.
Granted, Caps, I mean, they have no information about where players were. Pyro likes to lurk, and maybe they even heard a sound cue behind them that drew their attention before that toxic screen fell. But, I mean, you're up 7 rounds. I'm not going to piece apart the 1 round loss, and I looked like BPC might be taking it personally since they've doubled down on the operators. So they're definitely just having fun, right? I mean, they 5-stacked the site, wanted to play retake on B, This round, they said, all right, let's not 5-stack it. We'll 3-stack it, put 1 vents, 1 B main for early indications. But again, this challenge from Farmingdale. And things can get dicey with 1 showstopper, but a perfect flash means the first blood. Well, it is wrestled back in kind. A late fault line, but it'll still get through the frag. But now you're double satcheling into 2
What
players!
is this? What just happened?
How are
They
you
went
alive?
right into the side and then a shorty!
Defenders win.
How was...
How did Truth walk away with that?
How did
What?
Truth survive? I'm just like... They were literally double satcheling into 2 players. I mean, if you are Pyro in that situation, you gotta be like, Super, turn around! The combs that had to just be chaotic there, Sam. And at the end of the day, it's a second map for Brewton-Parker here.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I think we're still a little shocked
Yeah,
at
just a
what
bit.
we just witnessed.
Just a bit.
I mean, a second map won here, and I felt like for that final round, it was a little bit of a show-off moment from Truth. But
Yeah.
when you're in that kind of a lead, and when you have that kind of skill, why not? Let's see what you made of. Test your mettle. All cards on the table, and my goodness gracious, Obi, they threw it down and they threw it all away along with the table and along with a map of split. I mean, a 2-0 now. They're on series point in this best of 5. Farmingdale has to find something, or else the Reaper is at their doorstep.
So map 1, 13-2, map 2, 13-5, both favoring Brewton-Parker College here in his best of 5 for the ECAC semifinals. And we are 1 map away from an early departure of Farmingdale from this playoffs. And the next map, Icebox for Farmingdale. Their map pick, Brewton-Parker starting out on the defense. And it's another strong suit for both of these teams, 3-0, 3-0. But that action will have to wait because the players, they're going to need a break. Like I said, Farmingdale, get that mental check going. And we as your casters should get some water. So after this break, potentially the last map of the semifinals from the ECAC coverage.
Brewton-Parker College needs only one more map to tie up this semifinals and go into the ECAC Valorant Grand Finals. Question now, is their hot streak going to continue? And are they going to go into the Grand Finals without dropping a single map? Or is Farmingdale finally going to be able to ice out this team on Zobi, the map of Icebox?
Yeah, I mean, with Tanuki taking on that solo duelist role, I really don't know what composition Farmingdale is going to run because they were running the old meta composition of the Sage and the KJ, which I think would add very needed stability to their composition. But even then, they're the ones starting out on the attack. So maybe you bring out a double duelist. Maybe we see Pyro back in the hot seat of a duelist. But we'll have to wait and see. But let's talk about, the team of the hour, Brewton-Parker. Alas, I don't think we're going to be seeing the Limp Omen pick again. But we are going to see potentially a double controller with a Harbor Viper. We'll see if that's
we're
what
gonna
happens.
find out. Agent select time. Brewton-Parker. Caps. You hovering over Brimstone. Don't mess with my heart like
You're
that.
not running the G2 comp. Come on, get out of here. And you're not allowed to run that, Agent. I wish.
I wish. Oh, the Brimmy days. They're over. Rest in peace, Brimmy. Farmingdale, though, has it pretty much on lockdown exactly with what they want to go. BIP hovering on ISO. I don't think they're going to walk out with that. At least I hope not. Brewton-Parker, in the meanwhile, still taking some ruminations on what they want to go with. And some of the agents that we're already seeing. Sova on the board.
Yeah, this is some stark departure from the source material. I said a double duelist with Pyro back on duelist, but they're going Pyro. It's a jet map. You do jet things. And Tanuki says, I'll take the backseat. I'll play that support role on the Gecko. Albeit that kit's great for clutches. So maybe Tanuki, if they're not first blooded, it'll have some chaos to bring into the mix. But even this side of Brewton-Parker, I said double controller, and that is not a double controller that I am looking at. Limp, I was scared to see one a Viper just because of the passiveness it would require for a defensive shutdown. So the fact that you're on Arena is oddly fitting, and I think it's only because of their performance and their KDA today, if I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling. It's kind of like a moment where Limp is like, all right, you know what? I've been fragging out on Omen for the past 2 maps. Please, can I play Reyna on Icebox? And they're like, all right, whatever, go ahead. If that's what makes you happy, Limp. And honestly, I don't blame them, right? You the agent that requires you to frag out, if you've been doing it all night long, why the heck not? And that's not even to say that Reyna's not a good pick for Icebox just in general. We've been seeing that across the board in a lot of different scenarios where Reyna can be that aggressive agent, right? Especially when you think about A-site defense, which is what Brewton-Parker is starting off on. Reyna can go out there, get that early pick off, and then dismiss and play from safety. You get that, and you're all good to go. And in fact, that's exactly what we're seeing Limp holding on is that A-site.
Well, I do think A-site's the correct choice for that because you can get aggressive, get a pick, dismissed out. My concern lies in the fact that they don't have that double duelist, so if Limp falls, you're not going to have a jet per se for that retake effort. Also, having no support since that Sova's late darting means, yeah, you're on an island. So you lose that first blood, that's that. And now Brewton-Parker in an interesting position where on the first pistol, they are down numbers, and it's just been expanded upon.
And Brewton-Parker's feeling far too confident in themselves right now, I would say. They know that they're right there, truth. Not that they could get away with it, but now this is what we wanted to see from Farmingdale. Brewton-Parker put in a difficult position with Samo by themselves, not even going to have their gun out, not even going to be ready for Pyro. That is a Farmingdale first pistol round 1 this entire series. A lot of that just off the backs of Brewton-Parker wanting to be far too aggressive in their early initial play.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm a psychic, although I think this has been established at this point. But I asked for Pyro on the duelist, and what do? They lock the duelist, and they deliver right out of the gate. They shut down the aggression from, like you said, BIP. From Limp. And then they also shut down the aggression from the Viper mid. So multiple fronts that they handle accordingly. Like you said, punish that over aggression, and I want to say give a flee the first time as well in the entire day.
I mean, it's technically true, right?
Yeah.
It's not wrong. Ooh, up in the air. Pyro feeling so much more confident, so ready to take these engagements. But the most important crux of this all is that they're winning out in a great myriad of these duels. Quick swing out. Samo didn't quite have the vision on their targets. Flicks over towards yellow, but the Sheriff not really going in the directions that they're hoping for. The spike still hasn't been planted, though. It's actually right in front of them. They're going to try a lot to make that happen. Tanuki's aim is on their side, but so is Fort tapping. Same cannot be said for their health, Zobi. A stark and a startling and a heart attack can do 1 HP.
They're trying to locate any weapon that they can, and the weapon that they do find is a Killjoy turret that snipes them down. Gets that second round here for Farmingdale. And it's definitely an interesting scenario that we're not used to seeing, where Farmingdale now gets to try for that third round bonus, and usually Brewton-Parker is the one to convert these, so we'll see if Farmingdale can put up a similar performance, or if these rifles will be Brewton-Parker reclaiming what has been rightfully theirs in map 1 and 2. But for now, I mean, it just looks like Farmingdale preparing maybe for a mid attempt, but it's actually Bip with one of those Vandals to shut down tapping. Again, a first blood in Farmingdale's favor.
This one to be the one there for action. Limp this time around, though. You don't see them wanting to be that aggressive player. They are going to hang out towards Nest, completely unseen by the Owl drone. Dismisses to regroup back down on the grounds below. While Truth walks in and starts cleaning everything up, it feels like themselves. Ping up the spike. Limp gets it to half. Super 8's going to walk through the smoke and walk right into Doom Incarnate. In Parker College, denying the bonus round, and doing it relatively cleanly, I would say.
Definitely. And, I mean, now we're back to what feels like standard Valorant, not just, you know, Brewton-Parker dominance or Farmingdale maybe taking that confidence in stride. Pyro now being on that duelist role. But I appreciate how adaptable both of these teams have been, right? Pyro, them putting them back into the duelist role after they've been seated in that Sentinel for the start of playoffs and the end of the group stage. And as well, Brewton-Parker, right? Putting Limp on that Reyna because they had been on a hot streak. And again, things can change map to map, and so far that's been evident with these first bloods. So let's see if this time, when they have the support of the Harbor utility, they can walk away on top.
I'm just going to try and do it again. Heard the drop down below. Too many numbers for them to decide which one to attack against. Going to meet their doom. Still a trade, though. Farmingdale, they still have the opportunity to progress onto the site. Samo, waiting for the Harbor wall to drop of all things. Pyro's going to take advantage of that. The Cove is going to give even more cover there towards that. Once the wall dissipates, once the smoke goes along with it, and the Cove too, Pyro needs to start thinking about how they want to go about playing this. They hear it. Oh, they're going to try and take that fight there. They won it, but they weren't ready for Truth either. Caps walks out through tube. Wasn't a headshot. A little dirty, a little nasty. Let's get the kill, and Thrash is going to detain one of their own. Truth now in Nest. He's the ground below. Dizzy's not going to catch them. Still gets to hold out here. Out comes the wall once more. Over on the other side. Truth has to watch out below them. Has to watch out all around them. It's a 1v2 now, Zobi.
They're just the bait. Yeah, I mean, at this point, now they have the support of the Harbor, but Akiru with the timing could get both of them with their backs turned, and they do! A 3K clutch for Farmingdale to maintain their lead, extend it to a third. And that's just showing how chaotic some of these rounds have been for Brewton-Parker. And I mean, a few more rounds like that, and we might have to see a Brewton-Parker timeout, Sam.
Kind of crazy to think about. This entire series so far has just been one at Brewton-Parker College has written thoroughly their signature all over it. Faltering right now in the third map of the best of 5 series, their series point even more so on top of that. Limp finally though It took a couple of tries to get there, but they eventually do walk away with something.
Ooh.
Straight it out though. Walking far too forward. Camps thought it was all gonna be easy. Thought it was all gonna be uncontested. This territory is now claimed by Farmingdale. Sight and a spike, possibly soon with it, but the Reckoning could throw everything topsy-turvy. Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I mean, if you have some weapons, if you have some tools like a Reckoning, like an Emperor's, and like a Hunter's Fury, why not invest it? Why not try to upset what Farmingdale thought would be a surefire round? Because you had the read, you had the rotation all on point. And with that Wingman destroyed, you have Spike down out in the open. You have a Cove to contest, to isolate, but a 1-for-1 trade is not going to get the job done when you have a numbers disadvantage. So, we have to see more. We have to see coordination between these last two remaining players or hero plays like from Limp. But Tanuki, recognizing they had that advantage, isn't going to give it away willingly.
Now Limp so low on their health. They need to get the kill here to gain the full effects of the Empress, their health back, everything else along with it. This team, Farmingdale, loses the spike multiple times, but somehow still eventually at the end of the day gets it planted. Samo is gonna have to either walk through the wall or use his recon bolt to give them something, but they don't have anything else. No Aldro, no shock darts. So it all comes down to the raw aim and the skill to back it up. Jump peek from Yellow, not too crazy about that. It's the first. Mission accomplished towards the second. But the third is Super 8. Their mirror looks back at them and whispers, no. Farmingdale, a 4th round.
I mean, all the right thought processes there. Unfortunately, that Supa couldn't save their teammates, but they are that kind of surefire win for the round to trade one or the other out, and they were the one getting that information off those jump peaks to inform the positionings, inform those timings. So a 4th round here on the board. All of the ults invested last round during that buy for Brewton-Parker. So now they're going to have a pseudo save, light shields, some weapons to work with, see if you can pull something out. But even then, I mean, Farmingdale with these ultimates locked down to open up the site, and then Pit to defensively lock it down. And I mean, so far, they're just trying to pull numbers over from BPC to the A site. You destroy all that Killjoy utility, but that turret, finding pressure mid means all that information about rotation potential to B is there.
4 tapping. Cool. Almost. Almost. Tanuki has the read perfectly. In comes Dizzy. Maze is cleared. All that's left on the side is Limp. Truth is battling out in mid. Loses that one to Bip. Trying to go for a little bit more seconds. Very greedy. And Samo's Vandal. They failed the last round, and they don't want to fail their team this go-around. Spike is planted. It's a 1v2. The Super 8 is so healthy. And what's even more important is that they don't know where Super 8 is. Clean headshot! And a second one clutches the day and gives Farmingdale even more of a lead than what they've been working with.
Yeah, and not having using those ultimates thanks to the clutch players finally stepping up, finally warming up for the Farmingdale squad. It's looking promising here on Icebox there, map pick, and this is again where we go into those map picks, dive into the mind of Farmingdale, where I said that that first pick was them getting that rough patch out of the way so that towards the end of it they could focus on the map picks that they were strong on. In my mind, Icebox falls into that category, while Sunset and Bind are kind of question marks. So I'm curious to see what'll happen there if they pull out this map win, but again, with the first blood like that, it shows that Brewton-Parker still has some lives to give away.
It's crispy to go along with it. This lockdown to try and gain some footholds on this site. Or Tapping's not going to give up too easily, though. Look at how far forward they are and undetected by the recon drone. They've got their one, but 4 Tapping just stayed inside of the lockdown. They didn't try to get away. They didn't try to find safe harbor, and instead being a lamb to the slaughter. And this is what I love from Farmingdale this time around, Zobi. They're using these ultimates.
Yeah, I mentioned that over on Split, right? Brewton-Parker was dumping them as soon as they got them, and that trend has continued here on Icebox, but it's changed from, you know, fluid, flawless coordination of those ultimates to just one-off players investing when it's not going to find much effect, much impact on the round. And so with this victory, Farmingdale's going to lock in a 6th, lock in a confirmed tie at the minimum. And I know Brewton-Parker has a coach since they stepped up to do the interview if they win this series. So I need to see them take that time out for this squad sooner rather than later.
Samo. I don't even know what to say to that one. Guess thought maybe someone was there instead of us thought. They were right that someone was there. I guess they just weren't expecting the whole entirety of Farmingdale, basically. So here's the thing now, I guess, Zobi, with the way that Icebox is going, that we have some interview questions now if Brewton-Parker does win. This first half, at the very least, being secured by Farmingdale. And that is a lot more than what we could say out of Split or out of Ascent.
That is true. And so we haven't really seen too many changes, per se, out of Brewton-Parker just yet. I mean, it is going to be kind of, again, scattered by out of the squad, since some saved or some were saving for next. And now, Thrash is invested. It's going to splinter the players that are here for the defensive strategy of DPC, a detainment, a perfect calm. Yes, a trade comes through, but it's a little bit late. So Limp, on an island, does have the 3v3 in hand. They could wait for the KJ lockdown for the retake, but Spike was never planted. And Bips on a mid lurk. No,
See
no,
them, right?
no!
They don't see them. Bip's lurk is... They've done it time and time again. It does not matter the map. What's even more important is that Farmingdale managed to pick up the spike and they get rid of 4 tapping. It's just victory on top of victory on top of strong victories here for Farmingdale.
Very. 7-1 lead confirmed, and they are not showing any signs of stopping. I mean, at this point, number 1, take a time out, Brewton-Parker. Number 2, you need to commit to either a save or something, because this economic pitfall, this continual investment is not getting you rounds, and it's not giving you a chance to get back on the board. So 7-1 here. You have ultimates to lean into, granted, but again, these first bloods from Limp just have not been connecting, and even there, they almost got punished. They had to concede the grounds. They did all the bait for tapping with the Outlaw. So far, so good.
Okay.
The turret finishes the job, and Limp steals a frag as well out of the distraction.
That's going to be good enough to scare Farmingdale away completely. I don't blame them after that one either. You're going to walk right into the Outlaw. A turret's gotten another kill. 2 turret kills this map. They're going to walk casually. Wait, there's enough of a gap inside of the smoke, but Bip was ready. Bip had the idea, but they couldn't go for the second one. Samo's owl drone. Reminder, there's the window peek. Akiru's been seen. But I think it was just Akiru. The fight breaks out inside of Kitchen. A recon bolt. Just that extra added flavor of catching them out. Akiru, bold as can be, walks against Samo, who is using a shock dart to try and stop their approach once more. He's actually going to force out some rotations from Caps, maybe to check this unconfirmed Gecko and their positioning. Spike is going to be planted on the high ground inside of Nest, but Limp is also trying to accomplish a lurk up through Kitchen. Tanuki has eyes on it, but are they going to have it enough? A course correction is enough to give them the kill, and it cost them a lot of their life to make that happen. It's a 1v2. Akiru has no HP. Quick ping of the spike and a quick body shot as Caps has another round done. Finally for Brewton-Parker College.
I mean, if we've seen the confidence from this team for the first 2 maps, they're not going to just roll over and take it from Farmingdale. Albeit the lead's already been claimed. They can end things at a 7-5, and there's always a second half to bring things back around. And that round, I mentioned it before, that if they kept buying and losing rounds, they never were going to get that ship righted. But by finally winning one of those half buys, they have some money to work with, they have some ultimates to work with. The issue becomes, these look like blips on the radar. The 3rd round, and that was the 9th round. So they need to tie these next 3 together, or 2, just to give them a fighting chance.
Brewton-Parker Yeah, we know that no matter where things are going, they absolutely do have this fight still left in them. 7-2, so it's not crazy losses just yet. And that's the beauty of Icebox, right? Anything can happen on this map. I mean, 11-3 for goodness sake. Limp. Trying to find their first target, trying to get that first blood once more. It was close onto Pyro, but they're still alive, still hanging on. And Limp may be the one to seal that deal. Farmingdale taking it much more cautiously this time around. Clearing out through all of the angles, clearing out through any stage of places that Limp could see them. But Limp is totally caught unawares! They just snuck right in like they own the place! And Limp only just gets the one! They get out of there, dismiss! Tanuki almost had the shot. They use the mosh pit to go along with it. The spike is still going to be planted, and the damage has been done.
I'm just still reeling.
They snuck in for free.
Yeah. And those are two really important players. Now you don't have that toxic screen for the retake. Now you don't have that Hunter screen that could have denied the plant. Albeit, High Tides, they're up to replace it, to try and get some half action going. But I mean, when you have pressure from a Kiro in conjunction with the distraction of a Thrash, yeah, you're gonna have an advantage here. And they're BMing before the round is even over. Limp, the 1v3, they know that it's not gonna get the job done, they hope, but they're on par for an ace all of a sudden.
That's right there. Ooh, Kiro, the ace. Limp has it. It's now or never, and it is a never moment. Tanuki has given Farmingdale once again another leg up on their opponent. That play, by the way, Zobi, from Akiru was brilliant, right? Because typically when you plant the spike in the way that it was, you're playing for the post-plant lineups, you're playing off the site, you're playing off the ping, right? So no one was expecting Akiru to just walk in and get a double kill.
What's got a tug on the heartstrings though is Limp. They were fighting for that ace for forgiveness almost, because they basically cost that round for Brewton-Parker. I mean, albeit, like, if you're holding that truck angle, you don't expect them to sneak around through maze, and it's unfortunate fault, but a catastrophic one that's now reset the economy. It's going to be a save here, and potentially next round attempt, and yeah, when that first blood doesn't hit, it doesn't hit. Truth in an uncomfortable position, has to get the support of their teammate, but Pyro's already in, and when you are glooped, you are glooped. And they're not done. They're searching for the next victim as we speak. Truth position coordinated. Cascade just buying their time. Okay, that's a Bucky.
Quick peek out with the Bucky. Finally stops Pyro. But again, spike planted. What weapons do you have? Where can you get some of these upgrades from? 4tapping has an opportunity to get the Vandal right here, but needs to be very careful. Super 8 knows what's going on. They know the plan. They know what they need. And that is a as best of a first half as they can possibly get. And it does not get much better than this.
I mean, it could with a 10-2. But that was a save round for Brewton-Parker. They were saving up for this last hurrah. Maybe they're farming content, going for that 9-3 curse comeback, you know? But the ultimates that they have to work with make it look promising here. My only cause for concern is a cuter one-off from their Viper's pit. So that would be a post-plant security. But Limp finally winning a first blood, looking for more as well. This is where you might think of pepping the Empress, Limp. I mean, it's the last round, might as well.
Gotta do something here. You've already done a little bit right now. Holding on to the Empress for dear life almost feels just like, whatever. You saw the foot. I know that. I saw Super 8. Small amount of pixels. Keep an eye on Nest. Timings again, Bip. It's gonna have to be so careful. They go for this fight. Aldrone is gonna see Limp. In an attempt to even get rid of the Aldrone, cost them everything. The Truth gets to sneak their way in. Back over to the side itself. It actually pops off the Reckoning even more so. Stopping it right there, but Akiru gets rid of Truth. It's traded out immediately. The lockdown is gonna be there along with it. Caps has to go for the fight, has it inside of them. They're not going to be able to stop the spike from being picked up, nor are they going to be able to stop Tanuki from planting it. They're so desperate for it. In comes the Nano Swarm over on the other side for tapping New. The Gecko couldn't have gone too far out of range. A chance shooting through that box. And a chance that has given them, at the very least, a first half that didn't go into the double digits for Farmingdale.
Yeah. 9-3 curse in full swing here. The copium alive, but I don't even know where the issue is, because you look at the frags for Brewton-Parker, they're not like atrocious compared to the frags of Farmingdale, right? So they're getting frags. It's just these rounds are so close, and Farmingdale has the win conditions pegged appropriately. So now maybe when they're on that attacking side, they can also find those win conditions to play a successful post plant. The composition, I don't want to say necessarily favors it because they don't have that jet to close space, but they can get a spike down. They're going to have a multitude of mollies there for that post plant. The KJ, the Viper, and the Soba with those shots. Again, it all falls upon Limp's shoulders. They were given the Reyna pick because their map 1 and 2 performance. They're going to be asked to deliver upon it here, especially in this first pistol round.
Ooh, these shock darts, crisp. Super 8 holding on to it for far too long. Just inherent understandings of where this team is coming from, I guess. Flicked right back over on the approach, got rid of Limp. Spike is still going to be planted, and Super 8 limping along, hemorrhaging and bleeding, but they are still in this fight for everything that they got and then some. Small pixel that Truth saw there. Be good enough to know that someone still might be on the stairway. But a wall comes up once more. He's going to try and stall this out for as long as possible. Pinged out by the recon bolt. He's going to have to try and find some form of safety. Look back up towards the heavens. Stuck in the box. Descended upon all players. Hungry. Ready to feast. Samo double kill. Samo triple kill. A collapse? It had to have been. What just happened there?
I'm not sure about the shots from the side of Brewton-Parker, but I praise Truth in that situation tenfold. Gather your information, putting their life on the line, buying time alone with the Cascade, and even the High Tide was about to recharge, and that again falls the concerns with Farmingdale in terms of timing. We saw it a few times on their attack halves in past maps for executions, and it felt like an issue there on the retake. Akiru was so sure there was some lurk, and they had to be thorough on their clear of the B site before coming back for that retake, and that meant so much time for BPC to leverage in their favor. So a pistol back in the cards for Brewton-Parker could be the lifeline that they need. Hero rifle for Limp. Heading in towards a stacked site, but you have Recon, a drone, and a High Tide to lead your charge. Taking the truck angle again, and this time, you're not going to be punished for it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, but some utility is going to be used from these Vandals and these Guardians. They are Limp, though, falls to the classic Akiru headshot. The good news is Brewton-Parker can still go and pick it up. And Caps, always on the lookout, always protecting the flank. Is Akiru going to try and do it again, though? It didn't work quite the first time. By the way, Zobi, Sin Classic beating a Vandal. What could be better?
Turret kill, a second for the map.
Please, a third. A third.
Is it the third? Oh, you're right.
That'll be the third.
Outlaw finisher. You're right. That one was a little bit of a cheat. I mean, you know that Outlaw does like 140 or more. But no, this time Caps stares it down, said the classic magic is not existent in your hands. It was the T1 buddy, I think, that spoiled it.
Yeah, it was. You put a T1 buddy on the Sin Classic? Come on.
And a rough game yesterday. Or last night. Time zones.
we don't talk about
that game in my insomnia.
we don't talk about that game. We don't talk about that game. Uh-oh. What we can talk about, though, is that Brewton-Parker staging some small form of comeback. I say that before the words even left my mouth, Pyro got the headshot kill. So, comeback may be stalled for the moment. Look how deep, though, Caps is. Look how much space they've gained. There is the alarm bot that will stop them. And if Pyro is forward thinking, they can take this fight. Oh, they're ready to go for it.
Why?
They win it.
Why challenge that with the Spectre? But for now, I mean, they don't even discover the horrors that lie beyond the Cascade. A high-low prepared to deliver a punch. And yeah, Supa's still alive. We're gonna get a shred, so tapping stays
Beautiful
alive,
nano swarm.
evens the playing field for a 2v2. That should get secured, but they're waiting on this post-plant utility, like a snake bite, like a swarm grenade, but neither really land where they want.
All right. Bonus round. Tantalizing in front of Brewton-Parker. Wall has been dealt with. They're playing off of these post-plant lineups. Turret's going to ping out their first target. Smoke is going to go up, but it doesn't deny high ground presence. Akira's going to go over here, and we're seeing both players of Brewton-Parker opting for this high ground position rather than on the ground itself. This could be easy headshots, but Samo's so crazy about wanting to use that
my
shock
goodness!
dart. But now it's all
It's hacked.
eyes on Akira. They are safe! This has to force Fortapping to go in there. There's nothing that they could do. There was no way that they could stop it. Beautiful realization. Brilliant realizations from Akira.
Yeah, small mistakes like that can haunt your sleep for the nights to come. A few inches to the left, and that could have been like that bonus round converted, like you mentioned. But now double digits for Farmingdale. Albeit, they definitely made it hurt, so you can see the rebuy coming through. So if Brewton-Parker wins this round, they still have a chance at a comeback. But I mean, 10-5 here. Again, it feels like it's hinging on if Limp gets the first blood or not.
That's really what it feels like a lot of the time. And that's, of course, what you want from your duelist, especially your Reyna. Right? That agent that we were talking about hinging so much on their shoulders to actually be able to land these frags, to be the one getting all of the kills, basically. They've been doing a phenomenal job at it so far, but it just hasn't had the impact that we saw from their Omen. Fortapping, on the flip side, is going to be the one to secure that first blood pick off for Brewton-Parker. Truth is eventually going to get the spike planted in what I imagine is a much more advantageous position that the team can actually play for the post plant off of this time around. And yes, indeed, it is. Are they going to be happening here? Tanuki's going to win out in their duel against Limp. More so looking towards eliminating the rest of these pesky individuals.
Good trade.
Crouched with Guardian.
Ooh!
Spray down, a pray down. Brewton-Parker College fighting back.
The prospects of tying things up are so push and pull for this squad at this point. You're winning important rounds, but you're losing rounds you should have secured. They slip through the cracks. They slip through with simple mistakes. This round, though, it's a full save pretty much. Bye for next for Farmingdale. And you have some surefire ultimates like a Reckoning, like a post-plant Hunter Fury to lean into. And we talked about Samo on map 1 getting quote-unquote carried, but now they are the one trying to drag this team to the finish line.
Pyro's Marshall is going to have to put in the overtime work. Especially
Not
with
the
that
Bucky.
Reckoning
Not the
Super.
Bucky.
There's no way you're just going to walk in like that with a Bucky. No way that Brewton-Parker College is going to let you have that one. But what are these classics made of? 2 kills with a classic. That is a destructive round here if you're just thinking about that alone for Farmingdale, but it's not really destructive enough in actuality against Brewton-Parker.
Yeah. 3 rounds now, and yeah, that's when a coach for Farmingdale will put a stop to that as soon as possible, while they still have a lead established when they aren't fighting from the back foot like they have been on maps 1 and 2. And look at this as well. I feel like I've seen this story unfold many a time, Sam, where a timeout comes online in conjunction with an operator added to a defensive approach. And I'm not going to lie, it's never pretty for the attacking or that receiving end. Do you think this operator is what puts Icebox to sleep, or do you think it's going to be expected by Brewton-Parker?
They would have to expect that, right? It's a jet. They had enough credits for it. It's always something if you're keeping a track of the cache of the enemy that they could potentially be using. There's no excuse if you let that go untethered. And if they don't know it, and if Pyro's aim is crisp with it, and even if it's not, then you're going to find out relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So Pyro's been having a really good game of Icebox. The operator could just continue to enhance that further. The flip side, though, is that they had a good first half of Icebox. Not so much this go around on the defensive half. The Marshall the Outlaw, different kinds of weapons that we've been seeing them try and use just hasn't quite been getting the results that they were hoping for. But this Operator could be the difference maker.
I mean, they only won that 3rd round rifle, and since then it's been rough because it was such a close round win. Like you mentioned, they haven't been able to get those full-fledged weapons online until this point, until that Operator is there. And this is a hefty investment of a lockdown, but it's all being used for our fake. Yeah, you're gonna see some swarm grenades invested to keep a presence there on the A site so that the rotations don't come through. And that's going to put a lot of weight on the shoulders of this solo Viper, but the call has been made. The rotations are here, and Akiru as well has a Viper's pit. But look at their punish.
That came out
the
just in
pressure
time.
from Caps. Yes!
Caps just walked in the opposing Viper's pit. They know that they are Viper extraordinaire. They are a headshot extraordinaire on top of that. Super 8's Hunter's Fury only gets the one, and Limp even gets an Operator out of this deal. It doesn't get much better than that, and now only 2 rounds separate these teams.
We've seen some fancy opping from the members of BPC over on Split, maybe for the memes, but now it could be a first blood machine when I laid that out as the conditional for winning some of these rounds. And with this economy shattered for Farmingdale, it should be a surefire way to get another round on the board. They do have a Blade Storm, and they do have a Thrash, so anything is possible. Tanuki on this forward position. You're not ready for it. Okay, yeah, thank you for the drone.
Yeah, they're just getting out of there. They're playing for their life, playing for safety. Playing very smart. You know, you don't have very many weapons. You know, you don't have very much else to go off of this with. You may even know that Limp might have an Operator. And this is a special treat, too. The attack Operator on a Reyna. 4-tapping. Here's the footsteps. They know someone just walked through kitchen. May be able to catch him off with the window. They see it, and they do. Pyro thought they had full reign. They thought it was all safe. And I know someone's going to be getting an earful right now. How did that happen? And this even gives 4-tapping a chance to set up their own alarm bot on the stairway leading inside of kitchen. Caps wanting to take some fights. Wanting to win some fights. Then that they are. You know that there was at least one more player? They're going to be able to get the pick off there on that one. Unfortunately for Limp, they're going to be a casualty in that engagement. 2v4 looking like relatively good odds for Brewton-Parker College, especially with 4-tapping getting another.
Bip, though, on the flank. Only a stinger in hand, and a great read here.
Raid.
Yeah, out of truth with the high tide up. Makes Bip even more wary for the impending fights they'll have to take. At this point, it feels like they want to do some economy damage, get some of those exit frags, maybe get the Operator offline, off the table for Brewton-Parker. But none of that's going to get granted. 5 HP now. And Truth's looking to finish the job.
Yeah, Truth didn't even need to see them. You just start firing and wait for them to walk into it, into their waiting arms. 4 rounds in a row now, Brewton-Parker College has gotten. 1 more round, and they tie up this map of Icebox. 3 more after that, and they win the series. And they get to go into the grand finals for their bid to the CECC Texas LAN event happening in Arlington, Texas. This is so much being layered on top of each other. And Farmingdale really should be starting to feel their backs up against the wall.
I mean, I'll tell you, Sam. I'm a believer of the 9-3 curse. I saw a 9-3 turnaround yesterday. And
anyone who says the 9-3 curse isn't real, it's copium.
Yeah,
So
I think we could be seeing the unfurlings of it. But not this round, perhaps. Kiru takes care of tapping, who's has some really big late round impact for BPC in closing these rounds out after that first blood from a Limp comes through. But for now, I mean, that was just a lurking KJ towards the B site, so it keeps the numbers sprawled for Farmingdale and allows this hit to hit that much harder. But what lurks in the unknown is an open with your back turned as Pyro from below, and that just puts that round to bed just like that, Sam. What?
Just hold the trigger of the Odin. What's the worst that could happen, right? the worst that could happen is you don't get anything. The best that could happen, though, was what we just saw from Pyro. No one saw them. No one checked them. No one checked their corners. From Brewton-Parker happens to the best of us, Zobi. But that's something that they are going to be remembering, and they are going to be thinking about every single time now. But hey, right? Brewton-Parker got 3 rounds in their previous half. Farmingdale has another one, but they still need to get those 2 more to close out this map.
And at this
do it
point,
again?
I mean, they have the read right. They're in the right position. Again, it's gonna depend on timing and the thoroughness. Oh, the Sova recon reveal is late, so that's the first blood drawn, but a trade comes out alongside the Reckoning. So numbers advantage and a Viper Spit online.
No more Sova.
Yeah, 4-tapping's kitchen play. Always beautiful. And they are racking up the kills, and they're about to rack up a sandwich. Oh, Cabs, you got the shorty. And just on the other side of this is Bip. They're braving their fears. They're trying to conquer. Then they see the Viper. What they don't see is the shorty. Insane levels of play here from Brewton-Parker College. Unfortunately, we've lost Zobi. Computer blue screened at just the thought of how Brewton-Parker is making their comeback be known. But it's still not over yet. It is still a series that could go in any direction, a map that can go in any direction especially. Pyro has the operator once more, looking to make it sing. They didn't get much out of it in the previous ownage that they've had it. Just to get rid of the Aldrome, they're going to fire off one of their shots and not deterred off of yellow. Now you're looking towards 4 tappings and how far and how much they've garnered off of A. Tanuki's been so good about wanting to hold on here, but with Camp's loss in mid, Brewton-Parker may be feeling some of that instability. 4 tapping surprised at how much they've gotten away with, but Tanuki's play towards screen completely caught 4 tapping off guard. Now it's a 3v5. Truth is going to do a quick ping of the spike. Rather than try to play there for far too long, they're just going to back off for the second. Samo is still here in window. They dropped down. Someone had to have heard that. Pyro needs to be ready for it. Pyro is ready for it. And the miscommunications are just all shattering across the board for Brewton-Parker College. 2 more players. Pyro sees the both of them. Pyro's ready with the operator, but Truth is ready for some action of their own. Devastating ripples. Maybe going back against Farmingdale. Time is starting to run tight. Limp is inside of kitchen. Comes down tube. They're playing it for safety. Now they can go and get the overheal on top of that. Back to full HP. Pyro has to be quick, but they cannot be. The advantage was for Farmingdale, but all it took was 2 players to send everything and turn everything on its head. The Empress is there, but they don't need it. They just need time. They just need Super 8 to fail. And Brewton-Parker is almost there, but Super 8 is not gonna let this slip through their fingers. They found the final player. They need to get it to the half. There's no more time to work with. They think it's gonna be in one direction. Limp looking over there. Limp has the kill. And Limp has a tied 11-11 map of Icebox.
Insane coordinated there. And Hero plays when most mattered, when most needed. I took up here 11-11. And we said it all hinges on them. I mean, they put them in the spotlight by giving them that solo duel, giving them that Reyna in particular. And this could be their chance to flip the script to ensure that that record does not go blemished of having not dropped a single map in this entire ECAC journey. I mentioned it. It's been close calls before, OTs here and there amidst. And they want to avoid that here and now. An aggressive slam into the A site so far. High tides up, obscuring the members here screens, ensuring no trades for Supo will come through. But there's still retake ultimates on the table. Locked down. Gecko Thrash, all of these could get Farmingdale that map point so desperately needed to keep their ECAC journey alive.
Strong arming them. Strong arming them right now. Truth up in nest. Hearing the zip line. Repositioning over towards another high ground. Limp. Nary a little bit of timing. Double kill dismiss. But instead Tanuki has the headshots. The Sheriff doing whatever they can. But BIP now needs to do whatever they can with 5 HP. They need to punch back. They need to fight back. But the fight is leaving them. The hopes are leaving them. That was perfect movement from BIP. But it doesn't matter how perfect you are when the time runs out. For the first time in the map of Icebox, Brewton-Parker College is in the lead. And even more pivotal, it's on match point.
And I mean, now they have the lockdown. Now they have the reckoning. They have everything they need to punch their way into a site, but they've been getting sites uncontested anyways. So what I'm hoping to see is that they just recreate what they just did, but then have a reckoning towards spawn, a lockdown on site to ensure that that retake potential isn't there. And I mean, look at this counter from Farmingdale, right? It looks like they want to get aggressive. They want to search out and deny this space before it happens, but it's too fast of a rotation. They've left A site unattended minus the lockdown. And, I mean, if you're BPC, just wait it out.
Yeah, there's really no worries. It's so early in this round. I mean, you still have 1 minute and 15 seconds left to do anything here. And so this lockdown was basically just like, whatever. Okay. It didn't quite have the impact that I don't think that Farmingdale was looking for it to have. On the flip side, though, this lockdown is going to give Brewton-Parker the site. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Yeah. The recon dart is going to be that extra safety net to make sure that no one was actually here. Spike is going to be planted. This time, though, for the high ground. Truth missed the gun, though. But Limp ain't missing these shots. No way, Jose.
And I mean, now Empress has been popped. Perfect timing here. Perfect forward pressure off the reckoning. It's what I asked for, and it is delivering. A dismiss into enemy territory. Further contestation from above rafters. Basupa shuts it down. Regardless, still a 2v4. It's going to be rough, and Truth is there to deliver the final verdict. The comeback, the 9-3 curse fulfilled, and a 3-0 for Brewton-Parker College to punch their ticket into the grand finals, Sam.
That was a crazy series. That was a crazy map. Farmingdale were so close that they could almost taste it, but there's no tasting today. It's all Brewton-Parker hogging the goods and running wild and rampant throughout this series, continuing their undefeated streak into the grand finals. But now they're going to have to face up against either Wichita or Columbia, both insane teams in their own right. I don't know if that streak is going to be able to continue on for much longer, Zobi. And those grand finals are definitely going to be something that we need to keep our eyes on. But for this series alone, Brewton-Parker gave us insane maps, right? The first two clearly dominated by them. And Farmingdale finally came online, but it was just at the wrong moment. It was just too late. It felt like the cards were stacked so high that however they were going to try and topple them, it needed to have been successive over and over for the reverse sweep to have happened.
No, yeah. That map, I mentioned it, like that was going to be their strongest map, their peak at that point, since Bind and Sunset were kind of unknown, uncharted territory since they had only played them once or twice in their ECAC journey. Like when it's a map when it's a team like BPC who has a consistent band of Breeze versus you're a team that shifts your band based on the opponent, that's bound to happen. You expose those kind of weaknesses, and I think that's exactly what was latched onto by choosing Split early out the gate by BPC. They said, all right, we're going to take their strongest map and throw it right back at them, and it did. So that's a BPC 3-0 victory here. I'll say it, Sam, all out us. I want to say that's what we predicted. I mean, BPC is kind of sorted to win it all. They're climbing the power rankings for CVAL, for crying out loud here. And they're out for blood now against whoever will meet them in the grand finals.
Exactly. We've seen this team all over the place. We've seen them in the MFH tournaments. We've obviously seen the success that they've had here at ECAC and other collegiate leagues that are happening across the country as well. And they're doing a phenomenal job, it feels like, across the board. And so we managed to grab a special interview with their coach, Krimmer, that's going to be happening after this break. So don't go anywhere. This is going to be good. We made you a promise here on ECAC, and by God, are we going to keep it. We managed to grab an interview with the winners themselves, the grand finalists now of Brewton-Parker College, their coach, Krimmer. So, Krimmer, first of all, welcome. Congratulations on your end. Congratulations on the team getting into grand finals. I know you're all super excited. Am I right?
Absolutely, and thank you for having me as well. Obviously, this season we sort of set our objective to be the finals, so getting here is a little bit relieving. Actually, think okay, we've got where we aimed. So next step now is winning it, right?
And that's not only have you managed to go all the way, not only has this team managed to go all the way, but you did it flawlessly. You didn't drop a single map so far.
Yeah, it's all down to preparation. At the start of the season, we got a tab open of every team. There's a chance of us playing, and then we just have been updating it, keeping stats on everything. Every map every team has played in the regular season, we've recorded, and so we go into vetoes planned, we go into games planned. The idea is we win the match before we even start.
Ooh, I love that thought process, because when I saw you pick Split, I was like, Your enemy's 5-1 on that map, are you sure? And then you said yes when you delivered a 13-5 on that map,
Yeah.
and then the 13-2 on Ascent, which also was an interesting pick from Farmingdale. But I want
Mhm.
to talk about the time in between those maps where you were kind of, you know,
Mhm.
slamming the opponent. There wasn't much need for quote unquote change, or I guess a correction to steer the course in the
Mhm.
right direction out of you as a coach. So what was that time spent doing instead? Was it just making sure they kept a level head, or was it like
Mhm.
still adjustments and improvements?
So production may have noticed that we really wanted to go into each map as quickly as possible,
Mm,
especially between map 2 and map 3, because we know how to roll with momentum. It's something we've practiced with. And one of the beauties of collegiate is because there are so many tournaments, you get to practice how you use momentum to your advantage. So in the break between maps, it's less so a reset for confidence, more so a reset to, okay, you're playing a slightly different role. Obviously, it's a different map. We have a
yeah.
different play style. Let's make sure mentally we're there and we're not on the previous map.
Speaking of rolling with momentum, when we saw that Agent Select mainly Limp
Mhm.
swapping over from this tens like Omen to a Reyna, we were curious if that was the plan all along, or if that simply was just tapping into that star power, that kind of fragability they had map 1 and map 2. So, can you shed a little bit of light on that?
I feel like I may give a quite a disappointing
Oh
answer
no.
here because Ale was not supposed to lock in Reyna. We
That's
jokingly
even
we
better.
jokingly said we jokingly said, "Hey, do you want to run a Reyna comp?" Because we figured the first 2 maps were stomps. Let's
Yeah.
just hide our comp on Icebox for the third map, and then we just play for fun, and we just run around, click on heads, and win, which is what we were doing on Ascent anyway. But Ale took it a little bit too literally, or Limp, sorry, took it a little bit too literally, and went straight to Reyna. At which point, our duelist of Truth or Jace had to pick Harbor because we realized, okay, we need a smoker. We were going to run Harbor Gecko. It was chaos in sort of the
Yeah.
first 30 seconds of Agent picks. And with about like 3 seconds left, Casper went, sod it, picked up Viper. And that was how we got our comp.
Makes
I
sense.
appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that though. You gave us good
Yeah, had some
content.
fun with it.
We,
We
we,
have to make it interesting, right, for the viewers.
when
True.
we were talking a lot about that on the desk, we were like, "Oh, Reyna. Okay, you don't see the Reyna composition very often,
The
but
solo
sometimes
Reyna.
it can. Yeah, the solo Reyna especially is like
Yeah.
sometimes it can work, I guess. So Limp is gonna have to be super aggressive. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun to be able to watch how the adaptation comes, because I was also seeing that your team was hovering the gecko for so long, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it was like once that Reyna was locked in, it was like everything changed. And I was like, wait
I
a
think
minute.
the diplomatic way to put that was a slight breakdown in communication in the Agent Select there. Won't happen again.
Closed it out. That's all that
Certainly not in the
matters.
finals, but at least we still won after our mistakes.
Yeah, well, I guess that has begged the question then, was there starting to have a little bit of sweat on the brow when Icebox was starting to
Um,
look a little topsy-turvy, 9-3 first
mhm.
half?
I think the first half, I think as long as once we got 3 rounds, we knew it was winnable. We've
Mm.
converted that God knows how many times. But actually getting those first 3 rounds, well, I think we were 8-1 down at one point. That was a little bit scary. Well, maybe for me, less so for the players. We were pretty relaxed throughout it. But once we 2 rounds towards the end of the half, we sort of figured, okay, their ability to aim is only going to go so far. And so when we go to defend, or when we go to attack, sorry, obviously we have a little bit more control of the tempo, and so we can control sort of how fast the rounds play out, and that's how we can mitigate how well they're aiming.
But you just said you were a little shaken at 8-1, talking about getting towards this 9-3, but you
Mhm.
yourselves on the Brewton-Parker side never took a timeout. It was just the team making these adjustments on the fly.
Mhm.
So what was the decision behind that,
We
not
made
really
it.
stepping in until the half was over, or until actually Farmingdale took a timeout?
Um, I'll be careful what I give away here because it's a
Okay.
bit into our philosophy. But if we call a timeout and as the timeout sort of being decided if we take it or not, if we then immediately come up with plans for like the next 3 rounds,
Mhm.
where someone will put Chirp up and go, hey, I mean they had the same Killjoy turret in mid for a good while. We realized, okay, Killjoy turret's there. Let's stop pushing Shoot. We can do something else. It's what I was going to say in the timeout anyway. So
Okay.
we just cancel the timeout, we keep rolling, and again, it's all down to momentum, isn't it? So especially
True.
once I think it was 8-1, then 8-2, we'd obviously punished the mid player. We then made it 8-2, and then we just roll from there. We don't need the timeout because our momentum's been recovered anyway.
That's an interesting philosophy. I like that though.
Mhm.
The whole Brewton-Parker College motto is just momentum, momentum, momentum. And I love
The
that
joys
so
of
much.
having European players is there's a lot of passion.
Ooh.
I love that though, and you could definitely tell a lot of that was coming through tonight. We saw some
Mhm.
insane plays, we saw some insane frag outs, we saw some crazy love from the players as well, and showing us what they do best and in Valorant. And so, Krimmer, I know that you are an incredibly busy individual, especially as the coach. So I'm gonna,
Yep.
is there anything that you want to shout out? Anything in particular?
Shout out to the boys. I mean, all of them played well. All of them, even when we're losing, they're communicating, they're talking with support both inside and outside the game. But possible thanks to Adam Stanley and Glendon, our director and assistant director, who have helped us through the facility, helped us all move over to the US, which was a very difficult ordeal. So it would have been a nightmare without them. So massive thank you to them, and of course the guys at Brewton-Parker for making it all possible. And then of course one final thing to shout out is I'm going to Ukraine in 6 weeks. God knows if I come back. Hopefully I do.
Yes.
For a humanitarian run. We're trying to raise some money for medical supplies. At the moment, 25 quid's the difference between someone living and dying. It's very, very difficult out there. And we're just trying to do some good in the world. So, and any support for that would be amazing. Even if you don't, just continue supporting us. We appreciate it. So much. Even as foreigners coming into the country, we felt a bit alienated at first, but seeing how friendly everyone is within the collegiate space, it's helped us massively. So thank you everyone so much for that. Hopefully in the finals we can give you a bit of a performance.
Krimmer, esports coach and a humanitarian angel out there in the world wanting to do good.
I wouldn't
and
use that.
Hey, you know what though? You're doing a lot of good out there in the world, and you're trying to make a difference. And to me, that is something to commend and something that is very, very awesome to see out there in the world. And so a big thank you to yourself, Krimmer, for doing this and for everything that you're trying to do to help make the world a better place. So, hey, big shout out to yourself, my friend. That is awesome.
Thank you. The real heroes are the guys over there. I'm just a dude at the end of the the day.
You are the dude.
Just some guy in England.
I mean, the opposing.
There's not much else to it.
The opposing team's name was their coach was W Coach, but I think you proved that you are the W Coach. But
he's the W Coach. He made his worry on Icebox.
Yeah, well, thank you again for your time, and that does bring our interview segment to a close. So we hope you have a wonderful night celebrating with the team, getting ready for that grand final. Since you said the work starts now, before the videos happen. And with that as well, that does bring our ECAC Valorant coverage to a close for this week. But Sam, that's not all the ECAC action happening. Just around the corner, aka tomorrow at 7 and 8 p.m. respectively, we have the Rocket League Elite quarterfinals, followed by the Overwatch Elite quarterfinals. So multiple titles to give you a full jam-packed week of action. And I mean, I'll probably stop by just to see what's happening since I'm trying to learn those games and how they function. But I know you're involved in like Overwatch, Sam, so you probably will be excited by that.
Oh, I'm very excited by Overwatch. Being able to see some of the big changes that they also have coming in the next season is very exciting. And of course, Rocket League is Rocket League. It's a staple in the esports scene. Exactly. Rocket-powered sports car. I mean, you just cannot get over that. It just doesn't get much better than that. But it does get better when we are actually able to watch it tomorrow evening. So make sure you go ahead and follow the channel and follow all of the socials, because I'm sure there are a lot of exciting announcements around the corner that you do not want to miss. I'm not leaking anything. Don't you worry, Zobi. But what I will say is that we will see all of you on the next broadcast.